Hi, XLOOKUP and offset functions. XLOOKUP function is a recent addition in MS Office 365. Actually, it's an alternative to index and match function and makes it much simple to overcome the drawbacks of VLOOKUP function. Offset function is another very useful and commonly used function. It is used when you need to take a portion out of a huge data set or a table. Let us see how these things work. Watch my previous videos so that you are current. Hi. In this video, we are going to take a look at XLOOKUP and offset functions. XLOOKUP is an advanced Excel function in the sense it is available in Office 365 and Office 21. The earlier versions don't have that. So, if we remember, in my previous video, I had covered index and match functions. They were used in a combination. That means match functions were used within index functions to find out one particular value in a cell anywhere in the table. So if you want to find out one particular value like uh, let us say commission of employee whose ID is 245, like that. So one particular value in a table when you need to find out, you could do that by using index and match functions. Okay. And why was this used by this complicated combination of index and match functions? Because of the drawback of VLOOKUP function. What was the drawback of VLOOKUP function? The lookup value was necessarily required to be in the first column of the table. So whichever value you're looking at, like I had explained earlier, EMP ID, it must be the first column of the table. If the EMP ID is somewhere in the middle and you want to find his name which is given in the left, you can't do that by using VLOOKUP. Similarly, if the value is in the middle and you want to find his commission which is given to the right, you can't do that. So VLOOKUP function has these drawbacks. Now, index and match function finds a solution for it. But to make things even easier, Excel has come out with XLOOKUP function. So let us take a look at XLOOKUP function first. Later on, we'll take a look at offset function. Okay. So here is a pretty simple example of XLOOKUP function. We have a small table over here. Okay. We have a small table which just gives EMP ID, name, salary, and city. Okay. Now we want to find out two things in this. Okay. What do you want to find out? You want to find out the city of employee whose name is John. Okay. Okay, what is the John's city? You can see it in the fourth column. It is given as Pune. So John comes from Pune. So we want to find the value of Pune, right? And second thing is find EMP ID of John. Now, John's EMP ID is given in the column to the left, which is 3. And that is why when you want to find the values related to John, which are in the middle column somewhere, one value is to the right and one value is to the left, VLOOKUP won't work. And that's why we have a pretty simple XLOOKUP formula. All right, let us take a look at the syntax first. Here is the syntax. In an XLOOKUP formula, first you give the lookup value. That means what are you looking up? You are looking up for name John. So you give this, specify this as John. Okay, right? That is the lookup value. Now, then it says lookup array. That means in which column is this John name listed? Okay, in which column? So you specify the range. Where is John listed? John is listed in the name column. So within this range, you'll have to give this range. What is this range? It is starting from say C3 to C7, okay, or C2 to C7. John is listed. So just give this range because this is where your lookup value lies. And the second one is even pretty simple. What is the answer you are looking at? You are looking at city here. So give the name range of the column where the city is specified. So what is the range obviously it is C2 to C7. That's it. So this formula requires only the lookup value, which is John, and it needs to get the range where this John is listed, that is the column range. And one more argument it needs is the answer range. This is the answer range. That's it. So if you look at this formula here now, XLOOKUP, C5 is the lookup value. Okay, that is what we are looking at. C5 is John we are looking at. And in which column is it given? C2 to C7. So this is the range where this John name appears. And what is the third argument? Is the answer argument, return array. Return array means what answer do you want to be returned? That means the city name. It is given in which column? In city column. Pretty simple. So you just specify the range E2 to E7. That's all. Very simple formula, and we got the answer. Right. Similarly, now we want to find the EMP ID of John. Let us simply take a look at the Excel formula. Again, we are looking at C5, which is the lookup value. But where is it lying? It is lying between C2 to C7 in red. And where is your answer going to come from? It is going to come from the range, which is in this, which is B2 to B7. That's all. So that way, this XLOOKUP can look up to the right as well as to the left. And pretty simple, you just need to specify the range where your lookup value lies and the range where your answer lies. That's it. Let's now move on to offset function, right? So offset function, what is the offset function? Offset function is used when you want to extract data. For example, please take a look here. I have highlighted these cells where the font is in, say, red color, right? I want to pull out this data somewhere. Let's say here, I want to pull out this data, right? What is this data? These are domestic and foreign visitors, okay? From which year to which year? 2007 to 2010. So it's a very practical application. If you see this table of tourists in Kerala, we have got a huge data, let's say from year 2001 to 2016, and it is telling how many number of domestic visitors were there in each year and how many number of foreign visitors were there. So now question comes is, we don't want one value like we used XLOOKUP or we used VLOOKUP. We want to pick up a range of a portion of the table, let me say. So which portion? We want domestic and foreign visitors between 2007 and 2010. Okay, so this extract we want, for that offset function will be used. Okay, sometimes we may want another extract. What is this extract? Let's say this is given in yellow. We want to find out these values. That means between 2007 to 2010, we want to find only the total number of visitors. So this could be other one. And let us take a look at another complicated thing. Okay, this is a range, but it is not even specifying the years. We don't know. In a table, we may have a data tabulated for last 50 years or last 100 years. Whenever we carry out survey or pick up huge data for data analysis, we may have data for last 50 or 100 or 300 years. And let us say from 1940 to 1955. All right. So we don't know which is the last year also. And we want to find out the visitor for last 3 years tabulated in the table. How do we find that? We don't know the exact. So we couldn't specify 2014 to 2016, but last three. All right. These are the domestic and foreign visitors for last 3 years, right? So now let us come to the formula, right? As I have already explained the purpose of this formula. Now, as the name suggests, offset. Offset means you give a reference, you give a distance from a reference point. Offset means you give a distance from a reference point. So you need to get a reference point, and it is highlighted in this green cell. Usually it is the top left. It is the top left column, a top left cell of a table. So we give the reference from here. So what is the meaning of reference from here? This is the reference. From this, you travel so many columns to the right. Let's say column 1, you travel, how many columns you want to travel? Let us say you want to travel 1, 2, 3, 4. That means you get the fourth value from this reference, and you will reach this particular cell, correct? So you have moved what? You have moved right. You have moved right means you have moved how many columns? You have moved 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have, from the reference, you are in the fourth. Considering the reference, you are in the fourth column, correct? Similarly, if you want to reach this cell, how many reference you have to move? 1, 2, 3. But your answer is not here. Answer is somewhere down. So you move 3 right, 1, 2, 3, and 4 down, 1, 2, 3, 4 to get this answer. So you have to tell basically how many columns you need to move right and how many columns you need to move below. All right. Okay. So now let us come to the syntax of this, which is given offset, reference, rows and columns, and height and width. I didn't explain height and width. Height and width means, okay, that reference will reach this particular point. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. From here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you count 7 from the reference point. Okay, that is where your offset value comes. So your offset value has come here. So you have reached a set where you have reached the offset point. Now from that point you want to extract. You may want to extract only these many values, that means only one column values for say 4 rows, or these many, suppose this is the reference point. From here you may want to find 1, 2, 3, 4 values and down and 2 values to the right. Okay, so that means what is the portion you want to extract? You want to extract 4 by 2. Okay, or this would be 1, 2, 3, 4 number of rows. That is the height of this extracted portion is 4 rows. Height of the extracted portion is 4 rows, and width of the extracted portion is only 1, because only one column. In this case, what is the height of the extracted portion? Height of the extracted portion is 1, 2, 3, 4. But what is the width? Width is 1, 2. So you specify, first you reach the offset. So you reach here. From offset you tell what is the height? 1, 2, 3, 4. And what is the width? 1, 2. So height and width together will give you this particular extract. Hope that is clear now. Let us now directly move into the formula what we have entered. Okay. So I'm coming to this place where we have used the offset formula. First one is reference, which is nothing but C3. Okay. This is the reference cell. Next one is number of rows. Okay, number of rows. Okay, so number of rows for the reference, what is given there? 7. Okay, that means we have to move for the offset value. This is for offset value. The offset is by 7 rows. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so number of rows down is the number of rows. So that value will be 7. And what is the other reference that we want? Number of columns which we need to move. We need to move how many columns from the reference? 1, 2, and 3 to get the total. Okay, to get the total, to reach the offset value, which is starting from this yellow point. This is the offset value which is starting from the yellow point. You need to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows down. So you had given a value of 7 rows in case of rows, and 3 rows to the right. 1, 2, and 3 rows to the right. That is how you reach the offset value. The next so rows and columns are over. The next argument is height. Now this is specifying the extract. What is the height of the extract? So you indicate the height of the extract. Obviously it is the number of rows, because the rows indicate the height. So we want how many, see this yellow portion, 1 2 3 4 values, the height is 4 rows, so we have put the height as 4, and now we want the width. So width means how many columns do you want in the extracted thing? We want only one column, because see these extracted values of yellow, we want only one column, so we put the value 1 over here and simply enter. That's it. And this is the yellow portion. We have got the answer extracted by using the formula. Where has the answer come? Answer has come here. The answer has not come one which is highlighted as yellow. I have marked it because that is where the formula is entered. But because we wanted the value 1 2 3 4, the offset has taken out the extract of 4 rows and 1 column starting from this value. Let us take a case of another one now. Okay, and here is where the formula is entered. What is the question? We want visitors from 2007 to 2010. Okay, obviously, for your easier understanding, I have highlighted this in red color. This is the extract of the portion we want. Okay, we have already got the answer. You can see it here, but we have not entered so many formulas. We have entered only one formula. What formula we have entered? Let us take a look at this. First one is the reference, always the reference, which is the top left cell of the table, which is this cell, which is nothing but C3. Then the number of rows offset. Number of rows offset is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just like earlier, because it is in the same. So number of rows offset down is 7. Number of columns offset. How many columns you need to come right to reach this value? You need to go one column right. So the value 1 appears here. And now we need to give the height and width of the extract. This is the extract we want. Can you see in the red? So height, what is the height of this? Row 1, 2, 3, 4. We want 4 rows of height. So we entered 4 over here, and we want how many? What is the width we want? 1 and 2. 2 columns of width we want. So we enter over here, and we got a beautiful extract of visitors which are given in this table. In the which visitors? Domestic and foreign visitors. Okay, you could pretty much have 3 or 4 columns in a big table as an extracted item. Here we are extracting 2 columns and 4 rows. You got the answer. 2000 to 2010, domestic and foreign visitors have been extracted by using offset formula. Let's now take a look at the little complicated formula where we don't know exactly the year value which is ending there. So what is the question? Visitors for last 3 years. Remember, the formula is always same. The trick lying is knowing how to find the last 3 rows. Okay, how to find the last 3 rows. That is the trick. So we'll come to that. Let us come to the formula straight. So the formula is offset, obviously. So what do you first write? C3. What do you write? C3. What is C3? That is the reference. As you have seen earlier also, this is the reference value from where we want to give offset. Now we want to give offset to how many rows down? We don't know how many rows are there in the table. And we don't, because we want last 3 rows, right? We want last 3 rows. But we don't know how many rows are there in the table. So how do you find out how many rows are there in the table? We use count formula. Okay, what do we use? We use count formula. So here we write count C4 to C28. Okay, C4 to C28. So it will count the number of values entered in this table. Okay, C4 to C28. Okay, so it will tell the number of rows inside this table, and you say -2. Why do we write -2? So that will give the number of rows of the overall table -2. So it will bring you to the starting value of 3. Why is it written -2? Okay, I'll give you a simple question. Simple hint. We want last 3 years. So starting from the last, if you -2, you will get the last 3 values. So you write count of the entire range of the first column and then put -2. Okay, that will give you last 3 values. So you'll get the number of rows which will start with the last 3 values. Okay. And next one, how many columns? How many columns do you want? Sorry, how many rows? Uh, Sorry, how many columns? It's one only, because we are looking at the same column. Okay, we are looking at the same column. So we write one over here, correct? First column we are looking at, so we write one here. Because it is given, the year is given in the first column, so we write one column. Okay, so the offset is, sorry, my bad. Offset is 1 means it will not give the number of years. Number of years is the first column. We want the domestic values. So we want to move to 1 right. So we give 1, because the domestic value column, if you see in the table, is column number 2. So from the reference, we need to come down for the offset. How many rows? To the total number of rows minus 2. But how many columns we want to move right? Because we want the value domestic customers value. So that is given in column number 2. So we have to move 1 right. So type 1 over here. Okay. And now, having got the offset correct, now this is pretty simple, because this is what we want. These are the answer range or the extract we want. How many rows do we want? 1, 2, 3. So obviously, because it is last 3 it is telling, so we want 3 rows of value. So we give the height of the extracted portion as 3, and we want only domestic and foreign. So there are 2 columns needed. So we write 2 over here, and that's it. We press enter, and with this we have managed a little bit of complicated stuff to find the domestic and foreign visitors, both domestic and foreign visitors, in the last 3 years. Right? I hope it's become clear to you. Try it out. It's a wonderful formula, and believe me, whenever you are dealing with huge data in Excel, and you may always not use all the data, you may want to pull out the extract. Sometimes you need reference, that means only one value, so where you can use VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP or index and match. But if you want not one value, you want an extract portion of some rows and some columns starting from some place. So starting from some place is the offset, starting from the top flow point. So you come to that cell, and from that cell, how many rows down and how many columns right, that gives the height and width. And that is how you can pull out the extract using this beautiful formula offset. That's it for this video. Yes, if you find this useful, click the like. If you wish to catch several such videos, hit subscribe. For notifications, ring the bell and share this so that others too can watch. Bye.